Phil Spencer just shared what a huge focus is for Team Xbox. With fiscal year 22 now fully kicked off, Team Xbox is starting to walk into that fiscal year, and they are already talking about where they are headed and some things that we should be looking out for on the horizon. Phil Spencer recently did an interview with The Guardian where he starts talking about what Microsoft is looking forward to and the big focus ahead for the company. Now, this isn't some sort of exclusive look at everything that's coming down the pipeline for Microsoft, but it's important to understand that when the leader of Team Xbox goes out and says, hey, this is what our focus is, these are the things we're thinking about, that definitely means that's what his team is working on and moving towards. Now, it doesn't mean all this stuff is going to ship or going to be available someday, but it's definitely how they're thinking about approaching the market, which is important to understand to see how Xbox is going to develop for the long term. Now, during the interview with The Guardian, which honestly is a pretty short interview, but that doesn't mean it's not good and packed full of information, Phil Spencer talked about a wide variety of things, including expanding the availability of things like early access programming. Now, Xbox has done similar things in the past, and Steam does it exceptionally well on their platform as well. But Xbox hasn't really fully tapped into the potential of a program like this. Now, if you're not familiar with this type of modeling, what this means is that a developer can create a game, and before it's finished, start getting testing from users out in the field and get feedback to see how they can develop their game differently or add new features and functionality to make it more fun or more sticky with the user. Now, these are always called early access programs and things like that, but one of the challenges on the Xbox is that they actually have to ship a game, right? They have to put it in the store, you can go download it, which is a lot of effort, and not always is it possible because the game might be unstable and they only want to test a certain level and it gets complex. But that narrative changes significantly with things like the cloud gaming platform that Microsoft has created. Think about it from the developer perspective. They can create a specific scenario, put it into the cloud, and then have it streamed to endpoints. Yes, it may not be the perfect latency-based scenario that they're looking for, but they're definitely going to get feedback on the mechanics of the game using this technology without actually having to put a title into the store, and we'll go through that workflow, which can take time because there has to be validation and processing and making sure that the early access game isn't going to open up the Xbox console platform to a vulnerability or crash the software or something else like that. With cloud gaming technology and cloud game streaming, it becomes much easier to start testing this. So I wouldn't be surprised, I should say, if we see Microsoft start diving a little bit deeper into these waters, especially for indie developers, to get early access feedback and modeling and allowing them to tap into the creator economy a little bit here and start seeing development platforms and especially on the Xbox start following what has been so successful for Steam. So that is definitely out on the horizon. Now, other things that Phil talked about, and Matt Booty for that matter, they talked about narrative games. One of the things that a lot of people, myself included, when you look at titles, you see a lot of first-person games, a lot of battle royale, a lot of multiplayer-driven games, and there's a good reason for that because those things create long-lasting titles that have a nice shelf life for the console generation, especially things like Game Pass where they're trying to keep people in it perpetually. Now, that doesn't mean that they're giving up on narrative-based games or storytelling games. Phil Spencer is very clearly saying, I think we're probably building more of those now than we've been in the history of Xbox, referring to first-person games or narrative-based games, which are very important to the longevity of a console's health. If you think about it, Halo didn't launch as this massive blockbuster. Yes, it had some good multiplayer, and that certainly helped, but the narrative will help build the foundation for longevity, which is something Microsoft is more interested in than they are the quick flash-in-the-pan potential success. Now, that doesn't mean Microsoft is not going to be investing in those types of games, the Battle Royale. We already know that is happening. We already see what's happening with Halo Infinite, but it doesn't mean that Microsoft can't invest also over on the other side, the narrative-based games, which are so important to the long-term health, because new IP, for example, such as something like Sea of Thieves, is very important to the company because that gives them more options and more long-term success rather than just recreating the same formula over and over again with the same IP. But we all know creating new IP is exceptionally challenging and it creates a lot of effort, but Microsoft has the pocketbook to be able to do that. But the big thing that I took away from this, and there's a couple of big things, is that Phil Spencer was very clear that they are focused on the creator economy. He said creators are a huge focus for us right now. Now, we've already started to see Microsoft do this, but creators, that creator economy, which Microsoft loves so much, is vitally important to the long-term health. We see it with things like Halo Forge. The next Forza Horizon 5 is going to be coming with it. And also looking forward to Flight Sim is also going to be working with that creator economy. economy because Microsoft wins on multiple fronts when a creator economy is live and vibrant, such as in Minecraft. One, you get creator content, which drives more interest into your title and also new experiences, and you don't have to do, it's not that you don't have to do anything, but you have to create the ecosystem for it to evolve and survive and be financially viable. But at the same time, Microsoft gets to own that platform, and it's a very lucrative place to be in, which is why we see Forge being a big push for Microsoft, and also the upcoming Forza Horizon 5 updates as well. And then again, Flight Sim will all play into this. Microsoft is, I don't want to say they're putting a mandate on the creator economy, because Phil Spencer actually talks about mandates and how they kind of let companies just kind of do their own thing, and they don't really force DLC or season pass type material. But the longevity health of many different titles is built around creators getting into the title and being able to do their own thing, allowing to draw new eyeballs where a developer may not have the time or resources to create one-off type gameplays that may not make sense for the broader community. So creators are going to continue to be a huge focus. Now, I'll be curious to see how else Microsoft is going to start supporting this demographic, right? They were originally going pretty heavy with Mixer. That was a creator economy that Microsoft tried to spin up, and obviously we know that didn't work. Now, Twitch is still sitting out there, and there's other streaming platforms that would allow creators to utilize the Xbox platform more cohesively with these creator economies that Microsoft is trying to build. But we're still waiting to see where Microsoft takes all this, how they're going to develop the true marketplace for multiple titles. Right now, it's a lot of in-game stuff is the best way to tap into the creator economy, but Microsoft knows that if they can get the creator economy, which I've now done 17,000 times, so I'm sure SEO will love that, it will really open up the platform to longevity, and that is the key here, because it costs hundreds of millions of dollars now to build a quad, a AAA quad A game, however you want to call it, and to make that title last more than a season, effectively, 6 months, something like that, is a very big deal, and it's a very significant challenge, and something that Microsoft and every company on the planet is trying to figure out how to best do it. Right? We've already seen tactics such as season passes, where every 3 months, roughly, depending on how it works, depending on the title, there's new downloads, there's new DLC, there's just skins and that kind of stuff. That is absolutely one way to do it. I think Fortnite has pretty much mastered that and really drove home the season pass idea, because Fortnite has exploded, or did explode, and is still running quite healthily with their modeling. They just announced LeBron James is joining with the new Space Jam stuff, and so actually Microsoft had some Space Jam controllers too out, but that's aside from the point. But that is what Microsoft is looking for: a creator economy, a season pass model, and how they bring that all to life. And I think that's why Phil Spencer is talking about this huge focus, especially with games that are coming up, like Flight Sim, like I said, Halo, and some others that are coming down the pipe. But at the same time, he makes it very clear in the interview that they are not forcing developers into these models. They want Psychonauts 2, which is coming out, is a perfect example. Matt Booty talks about how, hey, sometimes things just don't make sense for a title. Yes, it might just be a one-off or a one-time experience, and that's okay. They're not forcing developers to do what is an unnatural evolution of their title to fit this potentially proven model of a creator economy plus DLC plus a season pass type mentality. So it's good to see. It's an interesting interview, and I'll have some links in the description eventually here. But it's interesting to see how Phil Spencer and Matt Booty, for that matter, are thinking about these upcoming titles, and how we need to be watching as an outside observer for the next year ahead about how Microsoft is going to start trying to further, I don't want to say embed themselves in the creator economy, but further create the perfect arena for creators to live inside the Xbox ecosystem, which is a different thing, where Microsoft wants to create a playground and let people come play, rather than trying to play on the playground with the playground kids. If that sort of analogy makes sense. It probably doesn't, but whatever. That is what I think Microsoft is going to be seeing as a heavy focus for the year ahead. Looking forward to potentially like a game streaming, early access program, and seeing how Microsoft is going to try to help boost and lift the creators that are helping create content for their own titles in fiscal year 2022. So 2022 is always it's going to be hard to say that for a while. But either way, that is what Phil Spencer has said are the big focus for the year ahead. If you want to keep up to date with what's going on with Team Xbox, make sure to keep it subscribed here, because the only BS on this channel is me.